These slides are for BBA2, and the subject which we are going to discuss over here is Principle of Microeconomics, which is presented by Ms. Zara. This is our third lecture of economics, in which we will discuss market equilibrium in detail. First of all, we need to know that what is market equilibrium. Market equilibrium is the point where quantity demanded is equal to market supply, or we can say that the market equilibrium price is the price where the intention of the buyers and the sellers match. And what is the equilibrium quantity? The equilibrium quantity is the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied at the equilibrium price. Means that at equilibrium price there is some quantity that is known as equilibrium quantity. But when we are going to plot it, we will take quantity supplied and quantity demanded both on x-axis and prices on y-axis. Let us have a look on the table and the graph. We may clearly see that in this table the law of demand and the law of supply is clearly fulfilled, that it shows that there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, and it shows a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. Look in the column 1, they have taken supply, in 2 they have taken price, in 3 they have taken quantity demanded, and in 4 they have taken surplus and shortages. 1 and 2 shows the supply curve, 2 and 3 shows the demand curve, 4 shows the surplus and the shortage. What we have done, we have plotted each and every point on the demand on this graph. First of all, we have drawn the demand curve, and then we will draw the demand supply curve. How we will draw the demand curve? We will plot with the quantity demanded against prices. And how we will draw the supply curve? We will plot supply against the prices. By joining these points, we will get the demand curve and the supply curve. We may clearly see that the demand curve and the supply curve will intersect over a point. That point is known as equilibrium point. From that point, we will draw perpendicular on y-axis and perpendicular on x-axis. When we will draw perpendicular on y-axis, we will see the price, that is known as equilibrium price, and when we will draw perpendicular on x-axis, we will have equilibrium quantity. And from this diagram, we can also see the surplus and the shortage. Above the equilibrium price, there is surplus because at price 4, the supply is greater than demand. As the supply is greater than demand, there is a surplus because the supply is at price 4, the supply is $10,000 and the quantity is 4,000 bushel. 10,000 bushel and 4,000 bushel, so there is a surplus of 6,000 bushel. And at price 2, we can see there is a shortage because the quantity demanded is 11,000 bushel per week and the quantity supplied is just 4,000 bushel per week. So it means there is a shortage, and the shortage is of 7,000 bushel. This is a quick review, a quick quiz for you, which is related to the previous table and graph. What you need to know, you need to go through this graph and table, and you need to solve these 4 quizzes, 1, 2, and the 3rd and 4th. These 4 MCQs you need to solve and send it back the answer to me in a group. I will let you know that which one is right and which one is wrong, and I hope that you will do it good. Now, after studying the market equilibrium, you will see the change in the supply and the change in demand. Now, we will see that what happens if the demand changes and what happens if the supply changes. Remember that when the demand increases, it will move rightward, and when demand decreases, it will move leftward. When demand rises, it will move rightward. When demand falls, it will move leftward. Means that the demand is moving right, R, rise, left, L, leftward, fall, L, leftward. So never do upward or downward, always consider rightward or leftward. So we can clearly see from our A diagram that when the demand is increasing, the demand curve is moving from D1 to D2. It is moving rightward. Now the equilibrium point, equilibrium price, and equilibrium quantity has changed. Now the supply curve is intersecting D2 at a new point where the price has increased and the quantity has also increased. In the B diagram, we have seen that the demand is decreasing. When the demand is decreasing, it will move leftward. Now the demand curve has shifted from D3 to D4, and now the new equilibrium price is where S curve is intersecting the D4 curve. So the prices has decreased and the quantity has also decreased. In this slide, what will we say? We will see the change in supply. Again, when the supply will increase, it will shift rightward, and when the supply will fall, it will shift leftward. Here in first diagram, we see that the increase in supply, as the supply increases, it will shift rightward from S1 to S2, from S1 to S2. So the equilibrium price has decreased and the equilibrium quantity has increased. And in the second figure, what has happened? The supply has decreased. When the supply has decreased, it moved leftward, and by moving leftward, we can clearly see this, that the price has increased and the quantity demanded has decreased. Now there are more complex cases. What happens when both will change? When supply and demand both will change. Previously, we have just discussed that only demand has increased or decreased, or we have seen that only supply has increased or decreased. Now, what will happen that when both the demand and the supply both will change? First of all, we will see that let's suppose that supply is increasing more than the decreasing demand. Now, more than means that we are talking about the magnitude. Look, the supply curve is moving rightward in a greater magnitude, whereas demand curve is moving leftward in a lesser magnitude. So this is a magnitude, greater, less. If the word greater, then it would be a greater magnitude. If there is a word lesser, then it would be a lesser magnitude. And the shifting of increase will shift towards the right, and the shifting of decrease will shift towards the left. So here, what we have seen, the supply increases but in a greater amount. So the supply curve will shift towards right, but in a greater distance, whereas demand decreases. So demand curve has shifted towards the left, but in a lesser amount. So this difference is less. Now the new S dash and D dash curve a new equilibrium point where these two dashes curve intersect. Now the P1 and Q1 are the new equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity, where price has decreased and the quantity has increased. In the second one, what we are going to see that supply is increasing less than the demand decreasing. So supply is increasing less, so the change in supply is lesser, whereas the change in demand is greater. But supply increasing, so it is moving rightward, and demand decreasing, so demand is moving leftward. Now this S dash and D dash curve are intersecting to a new equilibrium point where the equilibrium price is P1 and equilibrium quantity is Q1. So the price has decreases from P0 to P1 and the quantity has also decreases from Q0 to Q1. Moving forward, we are going to discuss this again complex way where supply increases greater than demand increases and demand increases greater than supply increases. Now both are increasing, but the magnitude is different. Now in the first one, we will see that the supply is increasing greater, the supply distance is greater, whereas demand increases less, so demand is moving toward right, but in a smaller magnitude. Now this D1 and S1 will intersect on a point. Now this new equilibrium point is P1 and Q1, and here we can clearly see that the prices has decreased and the quantity has increased. In this similar way, we will discuss the next diagram as well. Now there are two more concepts, that is price ceiling and price floor. Price ceiling is the maximum price set by the government and is designed to help the consumer, whereas price floor is the minimum price fixed by the government A price at or above the price floor is legal, a price below it is not. Price ceiling. Price ceiling means the maximum price set by the government above which you cannot sell. That is a ceiling, means you cannot go beyond that. And the price floor is the price floor, minimum price below which you cannot sell. Okay? Now this is an assignment. You need to make all these 12 graphs and send it back to me. Thank you.